Greetings, most precious and wonderful spirit soul that you are. It's a wonderful, wonderful moment here in nature, in the morning. See, I love getting up like sometimes 2:30 in the morning, and I'll go to bed by 6:30 or 7 at night. And in that freshest, everybody's asleep and it's quiet. You don't have all of the static of everybody's mind going all the time. And it's a really important way to empower yourself to really center. This morning, this topic would be, people say they want to attain something. You have to be there already. You have to be there already. That's the topic. And what does that mean? Well, all is consciousness in that sense. And when you know who you are and the fullness of who you are, you're not seeking anything to get better, because there's a programming, a hypnotic trance that is, you might call it, in this entire world, is that you're not good enough and you don't have the power and you don't know enough, and that others know more than you, others are more deserving than you, others are better than you, and you're not good enough. And they could tell maybe it's the color of your skin, or it's your sex, or it's the job that you're doing. I remember as a kid, and going to school, I was embarrassed because my dad was a machinist. That was one of the things he did when some of the other kids, their dads had, all these big spiffy jobs and things, because thinking that then I wasn't good enough. And then trying in life to be good enough. If I attain this, then I'll be good enough. And if I attain that, I'll be good enough. Good enough for what, you see? So an empowering statement would be to act as if you are. And it isn't about being phony or fakey. Big people say, well, if I say I'm feeling good, but I'm really feeling bad, isn't that a lie? Well, the lie is when you said I. You said you are, because you are beyond the body, the physical body. You have a divine spiritual body. And for most all humans, that spiritual body has been covered with material concepts, a false ego, a false identity. And you have to have an identity, but your identity is to identify yourself with the divine that you are part of, that you are eternal with all those divine, I would say, God, goddess, divine qualities and abilities. And when you don't use something, you lose it. It atrophies. And by thinking you don't have it and you're not good enough, and I remember all those years, it was like on a roller coaster. I'd feel good and then feel bad, and it depended on how they treated me, or does that other person like me, or do they think they're better than I am? And then the criticism and the nitpicking. You can see it, how big it is in the media, is the criticism of, she wore the same dress twice. That's to get you to buy more clothes. You see, it's always like there was this Dutch banker who made an interesting statement. He's like a cool guy, but he said misery is a business plan, you see, for the world, for the people of the world. And why you see so much suffering in all of this is because of our believing all of these statements of lack and limitation. You're not good enough. There isn't enough love. There isn't enough for everybody. It's scarce supply. You got to fight for it. You got, survival of the fittest, who's the strongest, who could beat up everybody else. And these are not true statements of the truth that always is. So to act as if you are, the real secret of, in a sense of self-empowerment, isn't to go out seeking to get what you already have. Because when you're seeking to get what you already have, like enough love or enough happiness or enough appreciation or enough creativity or genius, you already have it all. And yet when you believe you don't, then you have this lack consciousness and you can never get enough. And you'll see these people who they never have enough money. They never have enough beautiful body. They have when I was in this one certain place where I had founded a spiritual center, there was a woman that had come there that had so many different facelifts And her very last one, almost, she wasn't really that old, and then she left her body. Because I noticed one time she came up to me and she said, you know, are you mad at me because you haven't been talking to me? Well, I didn't notice that, because, see, when you have the consciousness of nobody likes you, that's how you perceive everything. And maybe they don't, because people change their mind in a moment. They like you now and then they don't like you. That most people aren't in love, they're in like and lust, and then they move right to hate. The very person you loved, you now hate and you can't tolerate, you're going to get even with. What is this? Because when you're running around seeking, when we all have done this, to feel good, to be good enough, to be appreciated, to be loved, you use your whole life energy seeking to do that. Bigger, better, more, greater, this. It's the more consciousness. You don't have, so you got to get more stuff. You got to buy more. And it's so prominent that it's like we're running after something we can never catch because we already have it. So the key is stop, take a look at what are you doing to try and be good enough, to try and feel good, to be powerful within yourself, and realize that you already have it. And what you do is you act as if, and you are, to be there where you want to be now. It's all consciousness. Get the feeling that you believe you would have if you were good enough. And everybody is equal in that. Some are more capable in their skills because they've developed them, but you as a person and all living entities are precious and special. And people say, well, nobody's special. Everyone is special, unique, magnificent, fully activated divine being, you see. So, yeah, breathe it in, do your inner work. Let yourself fall in love with the self within you and with all, and he'll tell you, then you're never in scarcity again. And you are strong in who you are. And then life, who you are, is divine.